we just want to continue doing what we're doing, but for more people.
I'm Wade from Thoroughbred Diesel. I'm here today with Charlie Fish. Charlie Fish is the owner of KC Turbos, and we are really excited about him being here. And I got to be honest with you, Charlie and his wife Casey came down for training, and all of our 40 guys in the building just absolutely geeking out about Charlie being here. They're pulling him aside, asking him 1,000 questions, whatnot. So it's a big 4-day at Thoroughbred Diesel having you here as a whole. KC Turbos for us has been one of our best-selling turbo brands that we carry, and honestly, it's an honor to do business with you all, because it's nice to do business with a company, and you guys have got all the integrity in the world. You and I have had to talk a couple times on some things, and I feel like we both do it the same way. We want to take care of the customer. The customer comes first, and we do everything to make that happen for the customer. So they are very customer-centered, and obviously they're very turbo-centered. So, Charlie, how did you get into the turbo business? How did you get into the diesel business?
Happy to be here. You know, the geeking out, I know that's some of my problem, because I get like super into it, and we're talking trucks, 7.360s, and my wife especially is like, come on, let's go. Like, this way, we got stuff to do. So happy to be here. Love it. You know, I think of us as one of the small guys, maybe, but some people are starting to think of us more of one of the bigger guys. But when I got into the market, we were really small, obviously. Yeah. And I've been into cars my whole life, trucks my whole life, and I had a 6.0 Power Stroke, and it broke down. Like, hold on, you know. Anyone knows, most reliable diesel in the world, 6.0 Power Stroke. Read up on it if you haven't, but had problems, had to learn to fix it, didn't have any money. Spent a lot of time on the forums before Facebook was big and all those things. We were on the forums, learning, researching, and I wanted to go faster. Yeah. So we were doing head studs, and I wanted to send the turbo out. I was pretty mechanical, never built a turbo before, but I ordered a turbo from, I'm not gonna say who they were, but they were supposed to be the best. Yeah. You know, and I had to send in a core. The communication was horrible. I was told I'd get it back in 2 weeks. They had it for months. I had to like threaten them to get my turbo, because I didn't have a spare turbo. That's all I had. I sent in the core. When I did get it back, it was disappointing. It didn't perform like the people on the internet said it did, and I didn't blame them. I looked internal, and I learned a lot about the truck. I learned all about the tuning and the turbos and the boost leaks and the exhaust leaks, and no matter what I did, I couldn't get it to run good. Yeah. So I went to a local turbo shop. It was Turbo and Electric. A guy by the name of Jeff worked down there, and I was like, hey man, let's take this thing apart. I want to learn what's wrong with it. Well, long story short, we made a few changes, put it on the truck, ran phenomenal. Incredible. And I wasn't like creating a turbo company. I was just trying to get my truck up and going. Yeah. And I posted about it on a few of the forums, and I started getting private messages from people saying, I had the exact same experience. Horrible customer service, no communication, had to send in my core, and then it didn't run as good as everyone online said it did. And they're like, can you help me out? I was like, I mean, I can. I got to go to this turbo shop and have them build something, and you know, give me a few weeks. And I started doing a few orders here and there, and it started picking up more and more. And the time I was working for my wife's father-in-law, or my father-in-law, Rob, and I was a roofer. I did roofer by day, turbo builder by night, but I wasn't building them. I'd go to the shop, we'd get the parts, they'd build me a couple of turbos, and I'd sell. And then I started spending a lot of nights there and a lot of weekends there learning to build, and you know, over time it turned into a side business, which turned into a second full-time job. And then Rob came to me one day and he's like, look, you got to pick one or the other. Yeah. And he said, if I was you, I would do this. He's like, this looks like a thing that you could do. And so I bought all the stuff, put it in my garage, started building them at night in my own garage, stopped using that turbo company, and then quit my job. And you know, my wife carried me and supported me through all of it. If I could say anything, is that Casey has been the biggest supporter of the business. My wife's name is Casey, KC Turbos. It's K and C Turbos, Casey and Charlie, KC Turbos. But she paid all the bills, she did the mortgage, she had a full-time job, and I did turbos, sold turbos, built turbos, all the money went back into the turbos, and then it just has taken off. I'm known as like the 6.0 guy, but we branched into 7.3s and 6.4s and 6.7s, and now 6.7s is one of our biggest market. I mean, obviously they've been around for a long time. Yeah. There's a lot of innovation that had to go on. So, I mean, that's how we got into it. And it's been 13, 14 years. And now we're looked at as one of the bigger guys. But gosh, I remember when we first got started in the garage at night, you know, working nights and weekends, missing family time. And it is just really blown up for us. And working with people like Thoroughbred has been fantastic. You guys are easy to deal with. You guys take care of your customers. You know, we like hearing from people that order from you because you guys answer the phones. You guys answer your emails. You're walking people through the turbo sizing. I won't go into other people, but we do have some dealers that they have no idea what the turbos are, and they sell whatever they can sell to them, and then any after support, they're like, hey, just call KC Turbos. So it's been a great relationship working with you guys on this.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've grown together too. That's what we were talking about today when we were touring the warehouse. You know, I think that we actually were growing at the same time. Once we opened up the warehouse, that was when you guys were ready to handle the warehouse.
I think we were a little iffy at first, like, I don't know if we can handle a big guy like you.
There's a lot to do with that too. You know, there's a lot to do with that. And COVID was a lot of that, supply on turbos, and you just don't, and a company like you all didn't want to fall short of that, and you never did. You were always able to keep supply to us through COVID and everything. And that was a big thing.
Big thing for us. Going back to the beginning, the sending in your core, waiting a couple of weeks, no communication, no after support. That was the opposite of my business model. I wanted to ship stuff out within 24 to 48 hours. I wanted to answer the phone, answer the emails, answer the communication before and after if they had problems. Obviously, we wanted to build the best product possible, but to this day, we've strived for that. And through COVID, it's funny because a few of my competitors, I saw people posting stuff online like, oh, good luck getting a turbo from KC based out of China with the COVID. Did we go out of stock on anything?
Absolutely not.
I don't know if we went out of stock on anything.
I don't know that y'all have ever had a back order on us for anything.
If we do, they are very short, but we pride ourselves in shipping out quick, taking care of customers, because we're customers too. I've been there before. I got into business because my truck was down for months. It was the only vehicle I had. They wouldn't answer the phone. They wouldn't answer the email. So moving forward, we didn't want to be that guy. We wanted the performance, the reliability, the quality, but we also wanted the customer support, which just sounds like is one of your guys', walking around here, all the guys on the phone, helping, answering. You take walk-in customers, internet. You guys just really help the customer.
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, the whole China thing's bullshit anyway, because, you guys are obviously very, very steeped in your Garrett sales. So you're using the OE style charger, so all the modifications are done on that too.
We build from all over the world. We build from lots of different platforms. And Garrett's one of the best turbo manufacturers in the world. We buy millions of dollars in Garrett turbochargers, but you look at a lot of their individual components, they come from China too.
Right.
Maybe assembled in Mexico, come from China. So when someone says, oh, do any of your parts come from China? Everybody's building stuff from China. But we're based in Arizona. That's where everything's put together. We do machine work, we do building, but we do buy Garrett parts, we buy Borg parts, we have parts made for us. We buy from all over the world. But those people spreading rumors that we're just, like, the one guy says we're a Alibaba China front with just a marketing department, which is just nuts that there are people out there saying that. But we've tried to be at the forefront of innovation, and I want to say that we took a while to get into the 6.7 world. Yeah. Some of that was, I'm a 6.0 guy, I'm a 7.3 guy. Yeah. 6.7, it took me a while. I remember the 11 to 14 turbos were tough. Yeah. Those were the first ones that came out. Basically, nobody modified them at all. I remember it was in late 14 and maybe early 15, Morgan Prim called me and he's like, hey man, I want you to build turbos for me. And I want to work with you to build the turbos in the 6.7 world. And I turned him down because I thought it was just the 11 to 14 turbo. I didn't realize that Ford had changed the turbo from 15, 16, 17, and he went a different direction at that time. Morgan Prim was a great guy. I didn't get to know him really well, but we did work a little bit together. Yeah. And man, I missed that boat because his turbos took off, other people's turbos took off. The 15 to 19 turbos really opened up the aftermarket world for these trucks. Yeah. Ford themselves came out with their Ford retrofit kit. Yeah. People that don't know, the 11 to 14 turbos, very problematic. Some guys don't have issues. I know some guys have gone through 10. I was just talking to what's that lady that has the 6.7 here? Yeah. Just did the DCR pump. Yeah, she was telling me she knows a few people that have gone through like 10 turbos, and she said she's on, I think, her original one and doesn't have any problems. But overall, very problematic.
Yeah, driving style, tuning and stuff's got a whole lot to do with it. Eat that charger just a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wrong tune just kill it.
Overspin. They're teeny tiny. Yep. You can overspeed them really quick. Yep. So then the first thing, I think the first big mod that people were doing was a retrofit kit. Mm-hmm. I think people tried to stick Duramax turbos on them early on, 6.0 turbos, and then when 15 came out, they were just sticking 15 to 17 turbos on 11 to 14. And I think Ford was first. I don't know who it was, but the Ford retrofit kit was created.
Yeah, talk a little bit about the difference between what we're calling a drop-in turbo and the retrofit kit.
Okay.
So on that.
So early on, Ford released the retrofit kit turbo. It's a big box, lots of parts, probably like 200 components in there, and that's what everybody sold. They were great, big horsepower bump, and then once you did the retrofit, now you had all the options for the aftermarket turbos from people. Well, we looked at it, we tried to build a drop-in turbo. And there's no such thing as a drop-in. Anyone saying this is a 100% drop-in turbo, it's not true. Anything you put on there is some sort of retrofit kit. It's gonna include a different pedestal, a different coolant line, maybe a different intake boot. There's different levels of retrofit kits is what I like to say. So the Ford retrofit kit, the most components possible, it's replacing downpipe, exhaust manifolds, a bunch of nuts, a bunch of bolts. It's pretty complicated. They're often out of stock. It's gotten a little better, but especially during COVID. I mean, you go 6, 8, 9 months and Ford has just said, we're out.
Yeah.
So we looked at the table and we decided to build what's called the Warlock kit. So the Warlock kit is basically the same thing as a retrofit kit with less parts. And a lot of that comes from the design of the turbine housing. But you still get the updated 17 turbo, the updated 17 pedestal, and the updated lower intake manifold from Ford, which is larger than the 11 to 14. So there are people now making this confusion of, they call it a drop-in turbo. It's still a kit. And the only difference between their kit and our kit is that ours includes the lower intake manifold, which is larger and flows more air. Why we stuck with our kit versus the other one is we still use a 17 style turbo, 17 style pedestal, 17 style lower intake manifold, 17 style gaskets. So that means for you and your customers, heaven forbid there's a problem. Your turbo sucks something in and blows up, you can pull right into the Ford dealership and throw a Ford turbo on there and get back on the road. Or buy something used, or buy a competitor's turbo, whatever it is, with just swapping the turbine housing. With some of those other options of the drop-in, you're not bolting the 17 turbo in there and going. So you've got the more restrictive lower intake manifold, and you've got the aftermarket style pedestal that is proprietary, and a few other components that are proprietary. So I'm not saying they're a bad design, but I think there's just confusion when people say, well, get the drop-in versus the kit. They're all kits, just different levels of kits. And the Warlock has been fantastic for us. Number one selling turbo from us.
Yeah, it's really
people love it. We got a couple of different sizes, but even just doing a 17 turbo on an 11 to 14, you're talking 100 to 150 horsepower gain. That's what most people hope for out of an aftermarket turbo.
And a lot more reliability.
More reliability, but it's a better charger. It's stronger, easier to rebuild. It's interesting, the 11 to 14 was very high tech. It was dual ball bearing, it was VGT, it was wastegated, dual scroll. I mean, there's like articles written by people that went to fancy universities about the best turbo in the world, and then no one wants, so they take it off and throw it away because it was problematic. It had issues.
It's hard coming out of 6.4 because you got one. Honestly, you can say whatever you want to about 6.4, but probably with the dual sequential, it's probably one of the best towing stock platforms out there. I mean, the truck towed amazing, and they had big shoes filled coming in that 11, 14 year. They're the 11 model year. You know what I mean?
With the drop-in modified 6.4 turbocharger, you can spool faster than anything else and make 1,000 horsepower. There's no other platform that can do that. And the 6.4, when it ran, it ran good.
It ran good.
When it ran, but there was other problems with it. But the turbos were not. The turbos were fantastic. So they were trying to keep up with that compound system, and
they got close.
They got close. Nowhere near on the top end power, but the spool up and the towing of the 11 to 14 when they run, they tow really good.
The 1114 Charger, I mean, really the top end of that was really the destruction of the turbo.
People start turning that up. I still see people online like, oh yeah, I make like 33 pounds of boost out of mine. Like, oh man, you're not going to make that forever. They top out at like 23 to 28 is what I hear is the safe zone, and then they're just out of steam. They're just blowing hot air at that point.
So we can geek out about 6.7 Power Stroke turbos, and it's a huge staple of your business. This is a core, this is a key, or this is a core turbo for us in sales. But we can't walk away from this and not talk about your 6.0 turbos and what you offer. I mean, you're the 10 blade, 13 blade turbine guy. I mean,
we're always pushing limits. I mean, early on, we grew a large market share. There's a lot of good options on the market now, but we still strive to be the best. We're always innovative. We just released our dual ball bearing version. We had our Jetfire turbo we released last year, which is incredible. And we've got new stuff that's being released in probably 6 to 8 months. We've got an 11 blade, which spools faster and makes more power than anything else on the market, but it doesn't whistle.
That's what I was going to say. The guys have been where's the noise at, man?
We're going to release a 9 blade. There's a lot of people that ask for the 9 blade. The 9 blade spools slower. Anyone that's dynoed it back to back, the 9 blade spools slower, but they scream. They are incredibly loud. We don't offer one now, but we will be offering it. We have our traditional 10 blade. It's still loud. It still whistles. It doesn't scream as much as a 9, but it's not as laggy as a 9. But we got some big things coming for the 2020. A lot of the 6.0 because it's based on a lot of the 2020 technology. The Ford is pushing the turbos, but we want to push right along with them. We're learning a lot from what the new turbos are doing and what they're able to accomplish. We're trying to put that into older technology like the 7.3, like the 6.0, like the 6.7. I know it's still a 6.7, but the turbo technology has drastically changed over the years.
I don't know that a lot of people will know this, but you guys don't just make Ford turbos. I mean, you make them for the Chevrolet.
Yeah, we're dipping our toe. I am not a Cummins guy. I'm not an anti-Cummins guy or anything, but we're so busy with the Ford stuff, it's hard for us to branch out. But honestly, it's because a lot of our dealers are pushing us like, hey, come on, please, we want you to make some make some Dodge turbos, Cummins. get into the Duramax world because they said, we just love working with you, your customer support, the quality of the product. We wish we could offer yours instead of some of these other options. We're dipping our toe in there. We released kind of a teaser video, maybe some VGT 5.9 Cummins options. You know, we've got we reman the 6.7 turbos and we do a little bit to them.
Yeah.
We plan to release a lot of options over the next year or two. We've got a Cummins that we driving around, modifying, working on, learning. Same thing, the Duramax.
Yeah.
Probably, we already do some Duramax stuff, but we're getting into the newer stuff, the L5P, which is an incredible truck.
Yeah. All right, so let's end on this. What's the future for KC look like? What's next for you guys?
We want to continue innovating, and one of the things, we're not moving on. You know, a lot of people made a 7.3 turbo 20 years ago, and that's still the same turbo they make. We're changing ours every few years, and we have a brand new turbo being released, actually the 7.3 Summit here in a few weeks. Brand new, ground up, gonna blow away everything on the market, including our own turbochargers. It's incredible. It's gonna spool faster and make more power than our existing options. Bigger bearings, better bearings. So we are constantly innovating, not just into the future, but we're going back. So we want better turbos for the 7.3, better turbos for the 6.0. We're reinventing the 6.4 turbos we have out. We've got new options coming out for the 6.7. We're branching out into the Cummins, we're branching out into the Duramax, and we're branching out into the EcoBoost. So we just want to continue doing what we're doing, but for more people. We just want to make the best products possible with good support, good customer service, good warranties, and everything.
Yeah. All while keeping Casey happy.
Yes,
Yeah.
keeping the boss. We all know
Keeping
who
the
runs
boss
the
happy.
company. When you stop by, everybody knows who's the boss, and it's not me.
That's awesome. Charlie, it's an honor.
Hey, thanks
An
for
honor
having
to-
us.
Yeah, honor to carry your all's products. If you guys have got any questions about KC turbos or anything that we can do to help you, just give us a call and we'll be glad to get you taken care of. Thanks for watching.